Check, check. Ah, there we go. All right. Ah, there we go. All right. Ah, there we go. All right. Ah, there we go. Well, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so welcome to the absolute introduction to League of Legends. I am Cooper in the Coach Rivals server, and this is going to be a pretty basic overview of a lot of the things you don't learn in the actual tutorials in League. And as someone who's not the greatest League of Legends player ever, but does enjoy playing League from time to time, I figure there's a lot of stuff that you just have to learn on your own, and so hopefully some of this stuff will just click early and allow you to skip a lot of those what if moments and eureka moments, and you can just cut to the chase. So a lot of this is the stuff that's just kind of hidden and can just make your gameplay a little better and hopefully give you some insight into what's actually happening and what the plan is. Um, so with that, let's just go ahead and get started. Obviously, the first thing you want to do is open up League of Legends, which is a lie. That's not the first thing you want to do. So one of the earlier kind of mess ups maybe you'll do as a new player to League of Legends is just try to queue. And in fact, the right answer is you actually kind of need to look at some guides. So when I first started, I read this guide, which is incredibly long. I would read it in chunks and pieces, and it's amazing. Highly recommend it. It's from Mobalytics, the Absolute Beginner's Guide to League of Legends. It's a little bit old and outdated. I think they might have put out a new one, but the general concepts are just as good anyway. And it's really great for lots of in-depth overview. But so I'm going to leave that there. The other thing that you'll learn is that there's a lot of people out there that have done this before, and they've done it before you, and they love to share all of their stuff on sites like MobaFire. So MobaFire, if you have ad blocker, you're going to have a much better time. But MobaFire is a place where you can find builds and guides and all sorts of things on champions from incredibly high ranked and high level players. And you can just go to the champions tab up here and find who you want to learn from. So Timo is who I want to learn from. So I've already got a guide that I like. It's from Sovereign Kitty. It's the best guide in town. Manko is also awesome. Manko 1. So the way to find out if a guide is any good is you kind of have to just kind of look through them from time, go through them, look at them, and read them. And I'll show you what a good guide will look like. A good guide is going to be very in depth, filled with ads. and it's going to tell you all this stuff, right? So these are the runes that Sovereign Kitten has decided are working really well. Some of them have different lane options for those champions. And when you get to the ability to build rune pages, this is a great place to go to see those. Um, and then also it gives you recommended items, recommended based on, some of these guys will tell you situational stuff. The thing I'll tell you at the beginning is don't worry about too much about um, the nitty gritty and the weeds of these things. The really good guides tell you things like ability order, and I'll show you on op.gg that this works too. Matchups, and again, this is stuff that you don't necessarily need to get into um, at the beginning, but some of the really great stuff is down in the what do my abilities do? So a lot of really great guides will break down the ability itself and tell you how it works in situational times to use it. So not every spell should be used all the time. Um, a lot of these spells and your summoner spells and stuff like that are very situational. This guide's been gets updated almost every other day or so, and it's just full of stuff. Um, and there's other guides that are good as well, and they'll have different things, right? So you just kind of go in, you find one you like, and you give it a shot. This one breaks down the abilities a little cleaner, how to use them, right? So the best solution I can give you is find a champion you like or you think you like, and go find a guide to read up on their abilities. You can also do that in League of Legends as well, to look at their abilities. But here in Mobile they're kind of nice because they're all linked to the stats within them. So there's a ton of information here that you can find in just a few minutes versus getting into the game and hoping and praying. This comes to the Bizzleberry, who's a great support main idea of the 20-80-20 or 75-25 rule, which is of your gameplay, you should be practicing and researching 20 to 25% and playing 75%. So grinding and getting into League is not actually the best way to get better. It's actually to learn and practice. And we'll jump into how you can do that practice in a minute. But the other thing you can look at is op.gg for a much cleaner general how the items are picked and the runes that are played. And at the beginning, just copy this stuff verbatim. You don't need to understand why resolve domination is better than precision domination at the beginning. You can start to learn why these things are important, and you'll get to learn those as you go. But this league is so big that some of the stuff just gets in the way of learning the most important part, which is I just need to stay alive. So with that, we will get into league. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to queue up in a ranked game, which is not true. The first thing we're going to go is go to training. So practice tool is, some people love practice tool. Some people like to dump on practice tool. It is what it is. I like practice tool, especially when you're learning a new champ or just starting out, because you can do things in practice tool that you can't do in a regular game, and you can try things out with a lot more forgiveness. And as you get higher levels, you'll be able to change those summoner spells out. But you want to go into practice tool. And again, also the op.gg stuff and the Mobile links, just pull them up on your phone if you don't have a second monitor, and you can just look at it from there. So here we are. We're hanging out in practice tool. The reason practice tool is really cool is because over here you have all these modifiers that you can play with, so you can get an idea of what your champion can do. So if you're just learning a new champion, practice tool is way better than jumping into a bot versus AI game, or just jumping straight into a blind pick or a draft pick to understand how that champion's going to work. So it works mostly the same, right? So just like any other game, the first thing you want to do is buy. When you're first starting out, Riot put in this recommended build thing. A lot of these are going to follow the op.gg. You're not going to understand why that is yet, but it can definitely help you. But just make sure you buy items first. Was watching seen some games in the past, and sometimes people forget to buy items when they first start. There's just so much going on here, and it's easy to just not think about it. But you always want to buy those first items, especially if you're a support. So we got our first items. They're sitting down here. Something you might not know is you can move these around, and you can also bind certain items to certain slots. So this can be really important for support who can bind their support item to one, so they can go up here and trigger it really quickly with the keystroke. And if you buy new items, it doesn't clutter and move it around. So we bought our first item. Good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and boost up my E, and I'm gonna head to lane. Why is practice tool fun? Because I can teleport. So here I am, makes things a little easier. I'm gonna go over some stuff on the HUD right now. So this is just the general HUD, and we're gonna go over some of the terms that you might have heard and what they mean, and maybe free up some definition stuff. So some of the stuff that's really important is people will say things like CS and farm, and CS is this up here. It says minion kills, but it stands for creep score because the minions are called creeps. And you'll see when I kill this caster, I got a little bit of gold and my creep score went up. Very exciting. Did you see that little that minion right there? He died. Creep score did not go up. Why is creep score very important? Creep score is very important because creep score is how you acquire gold quickly. See, didn't get the last hit. Oh well, I got my poison last hit, so Teemo's not the best one to show you on this one. But didn't get the last hit on that one. Didn't get the last hit on that one. I'm not getting any gold, right? So last hitting is a term you've probably heard as well, and you might have said, like, I don't understand, what's that mean? Last hitting is when you make the last attack on a minion. That's going to get you a creep score, and that's going to get you gold. Gold's really important in League of Legends because gold is how you acquire and buy items. So you see my potion is on 2, so I just triggered that. So I stepped up here, and Nilly's range is just going to destroy me. So those are 2 of the most important things in League, depending on your lane. Top, mid, ADC, getting those last hits are going to be incredibly important to get you gold. So fun thing about practice tool is I can level up. And I can turn on all my refreshes. So all my cooldowns are up now, right? So I can just drop my R as much as I want, and I'm now level 9. So the good thing about this is I can practice all my abilities. So I don't have to wait for leveling to find out what happens when I get my ult, or what I'm like at level 9 or 10 or 15 or whatever like that. So getting into practice tool is really good for just practicing with the champion, right? So, you know, I can also buy a bunch of gold. So I just got 10,000 gold. So now I can buy a bunch of items and see what it's like. A couple settings in here that you're going to want to know about changing is auto attack. I believe auto attack is going to be defaulted on, and you might not know this when you're first starting, but this is probably one of the things that's causing you the most pain, is your auto attack being on. The reason for that is, here I stop and I just start attacking, and it's attacking the minion. I didn't tell it to attack the minion. I stopped and it starts attacking. You want to turn this off because this is how you're going to start getting a bunch of aggro, a bunch of aggression from the minions. And we're going to turn that off because the other thing is, talking about aggro, is if I attack that champion over there, right, under the tower, I'm fine. If I attack that champion, see how that turret goes red? Everything just aggro's on me. So having auto attack off is really important because you won't get that minion aggro, you won't get that tower aggro accidentally, and you can focus on who you want to attack. So when I'm just going to right click on something to attack it, and it's going to let you have so much more control over the game. So back to the aggro thing. Another part of this is the how to stay alive section of how to learn from practice tool. Is if I come back here, the minions don't attack me. The minute I attack that champion, did you see how every single one of those minions came in and started attacking me? Well, that's probably one of the key points of what might be causing you some unnecessary deaths. If you have too much aggression in lane, and you just go after that champion and you don't realize that there's a whole bunch of minions, all those minions are going to then come on to you. So I'm taking all this minion damage right now. And when you're really low level, that's going to destroy you so quickly. So keeping in mind that the minions will attack you if you attack a champion. The tower will attack you if you attack a champion. Will help you to understand when to attack a champion, right? So if the point of this game is to stay alive as long as possible, you have to be pretty strategic with when you do those things. So great thing about practice tool is you can see these ranges. So I can see this turret range right now. As long as I have minions and I don't attack a champion, the turret will not attack me. So I'm safe because I've got this huge wave and I'm just chunking down this tower, not a care in the world, and I don't care about anything until the minions are gone. So I need to get out of there so the tower can't hit me, or I accidentally hit the champion. So dying to tower is incredibly frustrating, but it's completely controllable 99% of the time by you. Just don't hit the champion under tower unless you're intentionally diving, and try and clear all the minions out as well, just so that you have that minion advantage. So with that, so quickly we've gone over the CS, right? So up here is the minion kills. Each one of those is going to net you some gold. It's called last hitting. And the other thing is aggression. So with that, we'll talk about just kind of some HUD UI information gathering that you can do in game. So if you hit the tab key, you'll see the stats for the game. And in any game, you can click and drag these to reposition them. And in a live game with other people, you'll have a mute icon up here, so you can mute both your teammates and the other team, so you won't see them in chat, which can be helpful if you need that kind of thing. So that's the tab key. It's pretty important for information. You'll see dragons up here, and it's just a really great way to understand the basic stats of the game. But you'll also learn, you'll get some timers up here. So these are the camp timers for jungle. This is the Baron timer, Rift Herald timer. So there's just a lot of really great things to learn from up here. Next Drake. So lots of information can be gathered. The other thing is, you might have seen in a chat where someone is just pinging the crud out of something in the chat. They've hit tab and they've left clicked onto something in that tab screen. So for instance, I can ping that someone is alive, which is a lot of information. You can ping this, which is their R. So you can ping if they used it. You can ping items. You can ping pretty much anything in this except for the CS score and the KDA. There's just a lot of information that is important for your team to learn that you can give by pinging. So that's going to cover some basic HUD stuff, and we'll get into just general pinging as well, which you might see people doing these. So that's hold the Alt key and the left click, and you'll bring up this window, and you can bind to these things too. So if you investigate some of the stuff in the options menu, you can bind these to different things, whatever you like. But you can do this on the mini map also. So I can ping anywhere on the mini map by just alt clicking and then dragging, right? Or if I just click, it'll be just the generic ping. So if you're a jungler, this is one of the most important things you can do in stream, or in a game, is let people know you're coming in. So if I'm a jungler and I'm pathing down the river, or maybe I'm in the little tribe bush here, right? And I'm about to go in on Italy, right? Teemo coming in. You generally want to ping where you're coming into, and so now I've just completely cut off this section, and Nidalee gonna go down, theoretically. So On my way pings are really good. Question mark pings, though toxic, are also super informative. If you're in lane and your lane is missing, especially if you're a mid laner, it's really important to ping that your lane is missing, because that means they might be roaming. And if we are pushed very far up, so if we take out all these minions and we get this wave moving, and we are now up here, and mid lane doesn't see their mid laner, and they, you know, warning, missing, right? I know that there's a really good chance that that mid laner is pathing down. So communication in League, resource management, that's pretty much what this game is all about. And if you can nail down those two things, then you're gonna have a much better time, and you'll have an idea of what the goal is and what you're planning to do. So again, Alt and click and hold will bring up the ping menu, and you can use that for communication, and let your team know a whole lot more than just hoping and guessing they get what they understand what you're doing. So that's going to bring us to the next item on the list. So since we're talking about lanes, let's talk about vision, as we were talking about pathing and stuff like that. So you'll see down here I have a basic stealth ward. These recharge as you use them, and they're very important for a couple of reasons, right? So if I put it in, oh my god, seriously. If I put it in the bush, right, it's going to be invisible, and it'll have a pretty good amount of life. If I put it right here, it's going to hang out, but it's not hidden, right? So people can find that. You can sweep these, which I'll go back and buy a sweeper and show you. I just wanted to show you what just happened there. As you see, when I put down too many wards, I saw one. So that's really important information. That means that there was a ward there, which is important to know. So you can use that to know how long a ward was there, or that there might have been someone nearby. So the wards are really important. The wards for these yellow trinkets, if I put a ward here and the enemy walks over it, they don't see it, but I completely see them. So right now, if I had this ward here and Nidalee walked onto that bush, I would be invisible as long as she doesn't have a ward, and I could see her. Tons of information just gained right there, right? So that's a warning ping, that's a, assist me ping, and then a jungler can come in and say, I'm on my way, right? All of a sudden, this ward has given us a ton of information. Where you place the wards, there are 100 guides on the best ward placements and how to use them. But generally in the bot lane, you're gonna want to get one there. This is a good spot too, depending on who you're playing, for just getting rid of backdoor stuff. You can throw one over there just so you have a little bit of information, and then you can, the pixel bush is always really important. So why are these important wards? I'm gonna come out of here and get far away. And if you look at the mini map, right, which you should be doing, every 8 to 10 seconds and before you go in on a big engage or something like that, you can see so much information now. Look at the top side of the map, it's all dark. On the bot side of the map, if that jungler comes in through here, psh, we see it. If I'm looking at my mini map, we see it. If the jungler is trying to backdoor, we see it. So vision is so important in this game, and it's vital that all players are playing the vision game. The player that's generally considered the most important vision creator is the support, because their support items will give them vision. So after they hit 500 gold, they get their item, which means they get 3 trinkets, 3 vision tokens, ward tokens, in their item. So they can just be dropping these things all over the place. Now, they'll go away after you drop too many, as you saw, but they can just give you tons and tons of information. So we're gonna head back to lane. I'm gonna just teleport right here. And I picked up a new trinket. It's a control ward. It's very exciting. Control wards are cool because a control ward will disable other wards. So if you know, so what you'll see oftentimes is setting up for Drake, right? Setting up for Baron. Generally, people would consider it's the support's role to set up vision. That's kind of true. But anybody can come in here and drop a control ward. What that's going to do is show you when there's any other wards in here. So this is a huge, huge benefit before you set up a big objective, is to drop this ward, find out if there's other wards, and start going to town destroying that vision. Because the worst thing is taking a big objective and being on camera for the other team, right? That just negates the entire purpose of surprise. So you drop those control wards, and you can see stuff. You see how it's got the little eye knocked into it? Now I dropped that in a bush, but if I walk over it as the enemy, it will become, or it's not the bush, excuse me, but it will become visible if they walk over it. It's not visible right here because it's not in the bush. So things to remember about vision. In a bush, can't see the trinket or the ward. Outside here, control ward, totally visible. But they're very important. The last thing about the control wards is it doesn't have that little timer, right? See the difference between these two? 4 ticks, 3 ticks, invisible, visible, little white timer. This one's gonna go away. Control ward, it's not gonna go away. Bummer. It only has one of them at a time, but that doesn't mean you should just leave it sitting around the whole time. Move those things around as you need them. So just remember vision, 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 vision. And if you want to know how good you are at vision, just check out your vision score here by hitting tab and scroll over it. And you'll also, get some information about your stuff. So, so that's resource management. That's creep score, last hitting, getting gold from last hitting, and then on that we should talk about who's last hitting, who's hitting these things. So, and this is going to be some like lane roll stuff. So top lane is a CS roll, mid lane CS roll, ADC CS roll. They're generally running around trying to get as much CS from the minions as possible. Support, if you're playing support, do not do not just go crazy on minions. That gold that you're taking is gold for your ADC that you're taking away from them. Now you might have a support item that changes that, and you can learn about those items by rolling over them and getting some information on them. But just do not be slamming your spells and stuff in the bot lane. Leave that CS for your ADC. And then the really the last thing to talk about is the goals and objectives. So overall, we've talked about some terms and how to use practice tool to kind of test out a champion before you get into like a real game. But ultimately, we'll end on what's the whole point of this game. So now that you kind of have an idea of that, the first thing is to stay alive, obviously. We talked about how to stay alive against towers, which is don't do what I'm about to do, which is just stand here because I'm going to be triggered. Don't die to minions, which is don't die by hitting a champion and getting a ton of minion aggro, right? So all these minions are now attacking me, and that's not good. And don't die to overstaying. So this one's kind of important and it's hard to get past, but if you're low on health, don't chase. Just don't do it. It's okay to walk away. It's okay to get out of there. Just take them down, slow the game if you can, but don't chase, and just be aware of how to stay alive. So vision can help with that immensely, and understanding aggro can help with that. The other thing is the objectives. Obviously, the number one objective is to take out this thing, but in front of that are these towers, right? I can ping a tower too. So you want to set up objectives and take objectives. So that involves putting down vision so that you know that you're safe. So your first objectives are these towers. Secondary objectives will be things like Drake, Baron, or Rift Herald, right? These like static objectives that help you get through the main objectives, which is to the Nexus. After the tower and after the these Drake objectives is when you have these tertiary kind of objectives when you get in, which is the inhib and the Nexus itself. So just remember, in all, the goal of this game is to stay alive. You stay alive by acquiring gold. You acquire gold by last hitting. You stay alive by not dying. You don't die by having vision, and you don't die by chasing and overstaying. So that's actually pretty much going to do it for the general how to get started. And yeah, I think that's it. So once you're done with, well, I guess I'll show you this. This is pretty cool. So down here, just experiment with the other things you can do in here. For instance, you can spawn enemy target dummies. So you can come in here and not play against a bot, but you can actually just put in a target dummy, which is great for learning how to do abilities and spells, right? So get into practice tool and play around, and then, you know, exit that game, and you can even make a custom, right? If you still want to practice a little bit, it might be better to make a custom just with you and a bunch of bots, so you're not playing with others, and you can practice some stuff out. And yeah, so don't chase. So true. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just remember to turn auto attack off. Oh man, I totally forgot one thing. We're gonna go back and practice tool really quick. Quick cast. So there's one more ability or one more thing in the HUD to turn off. So my apologies for forgetting this one. In addition to turning off auto attack, there's a setting called quick cast with indicator. I'll show you what that does. It can be super fun. It can be super important for training because it'll show you the range of abilities, but it adds one more step when you're actually in a game. And basically what it does is it gives you the range of your spells. So it's right here. Replace quick cast with indicator, right? So
brain over brawn.
See, I didn't find my items. Terrible. So we're gonna head out here. See how now? Okay, so quick cast with indicator is up. So this means that I have to.
Smaller than the diagram.
I can let go of it, right? To trigger it.
Fascinating, isn't it?
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Right? Or I can hold it and see it and let go of it.
Ah, the sweet smell of
But
science.
the difference between, like, you'll start to learn that this is really important when practicing to get ranges of things and how something works. But when I turn it off, some of these things have it, right? But
Minions have spawned.
is it still on? Yes.
Order,
I need my
entropy,
mana.
a never-ending cycle.
But
Or is it?
without it, it just happens immediately. So I've just cut down some time. It's really, really I don't know. It's hard to understand at first because you want to see where these abilities are, but you'll start to realize, especially with like hook champs and stuff that are champs that have to have these skill shots, that a couple seconds is really important. And you just don't want to wait. You want to get it right from the beginning. And you just want to throw that skill shot ASAP. So I highly recommend that you turn that off and keep it on in practice tool so you can get those ranges. And then I haven't played with it so long that you also might want to work with turning off camera lock. So when you first start, the camera stays on you and you lose a lot of vision in the game, right? I'm stuck here and I don't see all that stuff up here, but when my camera's off, if I scroll to the right and the left, the up and the down, I'll see a whole lot more of this of what matters to me. So I see a whole lot more of the other ADC. I can move up here real quickly. I can use the mini map for vision. So it's just recommended that you turn this off because it follows you and it can really mess up some skill shots. So, and that's in the HUD. I just can't even really remember where it is. Camera lock. Camera lock mode. So there you go. That's actually going to do it. We'll edit this and post it to YouTube, and so it'll stick around forever. But there you go. Hopefully that stuff gets you started and helps you get started a little easier in League and skipping out on some of the eureka moments that generally happen. So with that,